Those restaurant, toy stores, and so many other different places of business. What about the muffalata? You guys had the muffalata yet? It's spelled like muffaletta. It's a big old sesame seed bun about this big, right? You get provolone cheese, ham, salami, pimentos, green olives with a vegetable on top of it. You got it. See, Burger King was wrong the whole time. They said take two hands, the hand of the Whopper. They had to be talking about this muffalata, right? Yep. If you think you want to purchase one of those in the next block, which is a 900 block Decatur from a grocery store, it's called Central Grocery. If you decide to get that muffalata and you're by yourself, it might hold you for 2, maybe 3 days. Make sure you take someone with you. Cecilia was responsible for bringing that here back in the later part of 1800s. The red building to the left, that is the Central Grocery Store right there. Now this part of the French Quarter, once known as Little Italy, this is where your Italians settled right along in this area. So you have the Italian, the Spanish, the French, and American father behind us. French market getting ready to shift gears, gonna go to the left side. Now coming up over here to the left side, over in the next block, you're gonna see the building looks slightly a little different. What happened? Well, Hurricane Katrina created some problems for us. So I had to come down and redo it all over again. So today you have what we call the produce market. To the left here coming up, handful of small cafes. Now for those folks that love to shop, every time you visit a new city, new state, new country, you just love to shop with your family, friends, and relatives. This is your spot right here. Can't miss it. It's called the flea market. Nice gifts, great souvenirs, probably half price, which pay different parts of the city. Open up every day about 8 o'clock in the morning to about 6:30 in the evening. Great prices, great souvenirs. Located here at North Peters and Barrack Street, coming up here. And the next block to the left, the building that you see there, it came around in 1760. When it first opened up, it was like an army base, like a military. It was called Fort St. Charles. It was here to protect the city of New Orleans from Esplanade in front of us down to Canal Street. But somewhere around the 1830s became the U.S. Mint Building, M-I-N-T. Inside the U.S. Mint Building, they will print up money, like American money and Confederate money. Never ever paper money, it was copper, coin, and gold. So over here to the right of us, Hotel de la Monnaie. Monnaie in French simply means money, right next to the Mint Building, huh? Now, the early part of the 1900s, this became the Louisiana State Museum. 10 years ago, they decided to turn into a jazz museum here at Esplanade. North Peters behind us, Esplanade, and Decatur in front of us. Frenchman Street, you guys been here yet? This is where the port is at. Let me tell you, this is where some of our local folks hang out here in this area. Handful of nightclubs around here. Most of them are free, if they're ever a small fee. That's because some new band came to town there to represent themselves. Could be anywhere from $5 to $30. But one block to the left is the French Quarter. Fall over there, you'll find Bourbon Street. Now you go visit the French Quarter, get yourself about 3-4 cocktails. You come into this area about midnight. Something different might happen to you. You're not going to turn into a pumpkin, but you could end up getting 2-3 more drinks. And you start doing something different to yourself. Like visiting this place over here to the right. We call it the Tattoo Parlor. See what happened to you the next morning from the night before when you wake up? You might realize you had Bob's name written on your shoulder and your boyfriend's name is Bruce. Might end up with Sarah's name on your shoulder and girlfriend's name is Susie, huh? It worked both ways. Some good clean fun around here. Handful of nightclubs at the next block like Spotted Cat, DBH, Snog, Harvard. So you guys come down here about 11, 12 o'clock and you'll find out the party is still going on. We're going to take this right turn here. But I need you guys to look to the left there. Look closer to the left, right? See if we can figure this one out. Hold down, hold tight. It's kind of tough and not going to happen. Don't worry about it. We're going to go straight for a moment then. The building you see to the left, yellow one, the gallery that you see hanging over the sidewalk, take a good look at those poles. Now hanging off the poles, you see some spikes. Can you guys see those spikes to the left? Hanging off the poles, can anybody see the spikes?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Those are not your everyday ordinary spikes. You know what those are called? Romeo spikes. See, whenever the young man wanted to have his way with your daughter, but you was not home for the evening, you probably would say to yourself, climb on up there, Mr. Romeo. I'm sure when you come down, you will become a Juliet. So you go up as Jack, come back down as Jill, huh? DB Snog Harvard. Some of the best jazz music in the city. This is known as the Faubourg-Marigny area. Faubourg in French simply means suburb. This will be one of the first mixed German Creole community areas to come to the city of New Orleans after the French Quarter, 1803. It was named behind a guy by the name of Bernardo de Marigny. This was his residence here to the left. Now, Bernardo de Marigny, he was a teenager. See, he lost both of his parents because of an accident, and supposedly he was the only child. But he had some bad habits, right? Drinking and partying and smoking and doing drugs, even though he inherited millions of dollars on all his land from his family, right? He had no idea what to do with it. He even registered for school every time they would call the roll. He just didn't answer because he never did show up. Right quick here to the left, this yellow looking building. It was once Governor W.C.C. Claiborne home. He was the first American governor of the state of Louisiana. Supposedly somehow down the way, Liz Claiborne, the designer, was related to him. I think they say it was his granddaughter. Now, Bernardo de Marigny, once he realized he was losing his money, he decided to sell some of his land here. And before you know it, right back on top again. He became a developer. He developed this community and spread it out just a little bit more. About 50 miles behind us, he developed a couple of small towns by the name of Mandeville and Madisonville. Before you know it, right back on top. During those days, he probably was one of the youngest millionaire in this country. We're going to take a little left turn and we're going to go a little bit more into the Faubourg-Marigny area. And some of us just call it the Marigny area. Simply means we're outside of the French Quarter. When I take the left turn here, on the left side here, you're going to see this pink house. It's going to have green shutters on the door and the window. There'll be a red front door. Now, a red front door like that, it was designed just like this, here to the left here. See, because on a hot, warm day, there was no AC. So open up the front door and the rear door, get you a nice little breeze. Also, is able to take your shotgun, shoot through the front door, the rear door, hit the chicken in the backyard. So this is known as a shotgun house. A single barrel shotgun house, right? Because this one here to the right, this one here, this is your double barrel shotgun house. Now you take and use your double barrel shotgun, shoot it through the front door, the rear door, hit the chicken in the backyard once again. We once had what you call a triple barrel shotgun house. It was taking up too much space, so we went right back to the double barrel shotgun. Plenty of shotgun homes in the city, like this one to the right. Kind of bluish looking doors here, the fence that you see to the left. Now behind the gate, way to the rear, to the back, up top, same home. This is known as a double barrel shotgun house with a hump in its back. Some of us will call it a camel back, like a camel have a hump in its back. So many years ago, when you built something like that to the rear of your home or went up in the air with it, you got away without paying any property tax. I'm sure that we probably pay a little less property tax in this city than most of you guys pay in this country or different parts of the world. Coming up over here to the right of us, there's 3 homes, 2 front doors, 2 front windows. Now these are known as Creole Cottage, not because the color, the rooftop kind of tells the difference. Come to the front part of the home, it has a bell in it, like a little slope. We call it the picking season from the month of June into the month of November. Just in case we get one of those, close your shutters, you can save your window pane. Here to the right, this was once a double barrel shotgun home. There's only one entrance. Now that's where your third bedroom come in and second bathroom. In the rear of your home, you could do something slightly a little different. Not the upstairs and downstairs and not the buildings. Plenty of these homes around here are valued at $175,000 up to about $375,000. Some of these are historic homes. Maybe something break inside of your home. You think you want to keep that same historic look. You could just forget about Home Depot and Lowe's because you never find it there. That means you have to find yourself a junkyard or antique store. When you get there, you might say to yourself, that's exactly what I'm looking for. It might cost me $40. Get to the register, guy tell you $150. You look at him and say, for this, he say, oh yes. Now you end up shopping somewhere else and you might tell that person you'll be back in 2 weeks. You end up in the same spot 2 weeks later because you could not find it anywhere. Same person, he's going to remember you. Get back there looking for your part. He'll let you know he sold it already for $150. You might say to that person, well, you think you could help me find another one? He says, sure I can. But here's the deal. You need a $100 deposit, and this time it's going to cost you $200. So he's going to sock it to you from that purchase from the first time. And about 3-4 of them sitting in the warehouse. He put out one at a time. He can make his price the way he like it. NOCCA, here to the right, NOCCA, New Orleans Center Creative of Art. Just in case your child thinks he or she want to study art, they'll sign up for the school in the 8th grade. So this school is so much in demand. Look to the left. That's a brand new wing opened up a few years ago till today. Kids attend this school early in the morning to about noon time, and then they go to regular school or vice versa. This was once an old abandoned warehouse in front of us to the right of us about 5, maybe 7 years ago. Today, they're apartment houses and a small restaurant. 1870s, they were shipping the cotton, the molasses, and the sugar. They were coming right from this area here behind the flood wall you're going to see to the right. Down below it, train track. Probably a 1,000-yard passage, you'll find the mighty Mississippi River behind. Here to the left, behind a raised fence there, that is called Dr. Bob. Furniture store, museum / junkyard. Check out all that junk over there. You get there and shop for some of that junk, he's going to make you pay for it, because he knows that's not too many places you can find it here in the city of New Orleans. Once you sand it down and polish it up, it looks so beautiful. You guys ever hear anyone talk about this city by calling the Crescent City? Anybody ever heard of that before? Yeah, you know the reason for that? I told somebody earlier now. You ever get a chance to fly over the mighty Mississippi River, you can see that crescent shape right along the mighty Mississippi River, right? So that's where the city of New Orleans got its nickname from. So maybe you haven't seen that crescent shape in a long time. Here it is to the right, the ramp that you see. But if you're down this area here, you think you want to cross this ramp, check it out. You got to be in good shape there. Take a good look. Because if you're not in good shape, you know what that means? You got to bring your oxygen tank with you. You might make it on. Just might make it. Now, a few times a year, maybe a little bit more, there's free outdoor concerts near the mighty Mississippi River in this area. Coming up over to the left in just a moment, the next block, there's a little restaurant go by the name of Elizabeth. Talk about some good breakfast here on a weekend for brunch. This place is packed crowded. She served what you call a praline bacon, give you a little sugar rush early in the morning. Located here at Gallia and Charter Street. Mile behind us is the French Quarter. This area here is known as the Bywater area. It simply means that we just by the water, right? See to the right, you find the mighty Mississippi River. About a mile straight ahead in front of us, you'll find an industrial canal, so we're by the water. But the Bywater area is located inside of the 9th Ward. These wards, we have 17 of them, and it's kind of like you're describing a precinct, maybe east side of LA, west side of Chicago, west side of Memphis. Before Hurricane Katrina took place, if you ever ran for a citywide election and you was able to win the 9th Ward, you probably was sure to win that election. Next year sometime, so they say, brand new cruise ship terminal coming right here for those cruise ships that come into the city known from different parts of the world. Downtown we have Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, Disney. To the left here, mid-part 1800, is once called the Olivio's Plantation. 47 years ago, the whole structure just collapsed. No one got hurt. 20 years ago, decided to turn to apartment houses. Maybe 8-10 years ago, they called a fire. They had to come down. They decided to turn to a little playground for kids, but most folks live in this community just doesn't have any small kids. Up the river behind us to Minnesota. Some years, later part of springtime, the ice will melt up north. They come down the river direction we heading in. So if you walk a few blocks to the left and look for the ships floating on the Mississippi River, because it's going to crest high above its normal stage, look like those ships are floating right on top of the homes here in this area. I'm going to take a left turn. As I take the left turn, you guys look farther out to the right. You're going to see 2 Navy ships parked over there. One is parked there every day. And the reason why it's there every day, to protect this city. We get plenty of ship traffic that comes up out of the Gulf of Mexico. Might have to turn around and look for the Navy ship. Just in case we think I have a problem with those guys coming up and out of the Gulf of Mexico, we can stop them before they get to another part of the city. Here to the right of us was once part of the U.S. Naval Base complex. Been closed down for quite some time, but they have some plans to turn into condos somewhere down the road. You guys ever heard of Jack Dempsey, the boxer? Anybody heard of that person? In front to the left, the once white double-barrel shotgun house, right? Today is known as the Jack Dempsey Seafood Restaurant and Steakhouse. From what I know, they've been open up for all of almost 50 years. Seafood plot over there, $30. Sound like a good deal? Yes, it is. It's a great deal. Let me tell you why. 2 people get to eat off the seafood platter, and you might be able to take a doggy bag home with you. That's not going to happen downtown. You can forget that. No way. Tourist area, huh? Taxi cab, Uber, about $20 to get here. And it worked every dollar that you spend here at Dauphine and Poland Avenue. Got your own vehicle? Come out of the French Quarter? Right along the mighty Mississippi River. Can't go in the fall out and take a left. Now over here to the right. We didn't have all this graffiti around here before Hurricane Katrina. We had a little bit. But recently today, this part of the Navy base complex, they've been fuming NCIS New Orleans. Another movie, Black and Blue, some other documentaries and movies coming up soon. So if you happen to see that in an upcoming movie, you could say you was once in that area. What about a levee? L-E-V-E-E. Anybody get a chance to see a levee since you've been here? No. What in the world is a levee? A levee is a amount of mud, dirt, clay, and sand that makes something you call a hill. This is our St. Claude Avenue. To the right of us, there's a St. Claude Avenue Bridge. Below it, you'll find Industrial Canal. As we take this dip here through the Hurricane Katrina, we had 2, maybe 3 feet of water right here, if not more. But the thing about that water, it sits right here in this community for 1 whole month. They tried to pump the water out of this area, but where they was trying to pump it into, can you believe that's exactly where it was coming from? So they kind of let it sit and sit on its own. In front of us, the traffic right here is North Robinson Street there. Look to the right when we get there, you see a drawbridge over there. It's called the Seaber, S-E-E-B-E-R Bridge. On the other side of the Seaber Bridge, you'll find what we call the lower night wall, and it's way down here, folks. So inside of the lower night wall due to Hurricane Katrina, we end up with 15 feet of water in that community. Some folks say there's no way in the world we had that much water in the city. Oh yes, we did. It was like a nightmare, just like a horror movie, like someone that made something up was so true. So North Robinson Street, it merged with North Claiborne Avenue when you cross the bridge here. To the left in this area, you find the Brad Pitt Foundation, Global Greenhouse, the Make It Right Foundation. Brad Pitt, he put up a couple of $1 billion or so to help get that project started. The plan was to build at least 100 new homes. Did not make it there, folks. What happened? It ran out of money. So hope they'll hurry up and get that project back up and running. Now, let's see. We're going to have to take a little turn here somewhere around here. A new turn for me. Because we're doing a lot of road work in this area here, so we got to find a way to go here into the Musician Village. But the Musician Village, it was put together by Habitat for Humanity. Harry Connick Jr., Mr. Ellis Marcellus, once the father of Winters Marcellus, a couple of former presidents like Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton. And what the plan was, these guys were trying to get our musicians to come back home after Hurricane Katrina. So the group I told you about, they got in touch with some of those musicians, tried to get those guys to come back home. But the musicians say, we don't have anywhere to work in the city. We definitely don't have anywhere to live in the city. So the group said, that's not true. That's not true at all. You guys do have somewhere to live, right? So what was offered to the musician? To find a home over in the Musician Village. Now, what came along with that? You paid no rent at all for about a year. You paid no utility. The government stepped in, gave you a little extra money every month so you could survive, right? Some of our musicians decided to come on and take that chance. That year, had you came and left, business still was not quite the same. Some of our musicians was trying to pack their bags and get out of here. They said, nope, please don't leave now. We're going to offer that same deal to you for another year or so. Now, business picked up just a little bit, right? Some of those guys decided to hang around a little while longer, but some of those guys were trying to pack their bags and get out of here again. I said, no, we think we have a great deal for you. How would you like to become a homeowner? Now, that'll be with no down payment at all. No payment for about a year, but on top of all that, how about a 30-year mortgage with no interest at all? Our musicians say, oh, that sounds like a great deal. Now, if you came back home within 2 years of getting the Musician Village together here, up here in the front, goes about a block and a half to the left and 2 blocks to the right of us. So if you came home within 2 years, you got a great deal. Plenty's home was sold to you for about $80,000 up to $150,000. Also on top of that, you got that 30-year mortgage for no interest at all. You put all that together, to me, that sounds like $300 something a month. What a great deal to bring our musicians back home, huh? Here to the right, it's called the Ellis Marcellus Center for Music. It was named after Wintons Marcellus, the father of Wintons Marcellus, Mr. Ellis Marcellus. Now, that's a little small fee to attend school. Lasts for about 3-4 months. But if the child and his family didn't have the fee, one local musician might step in and pay the fee for the child. You never have to worry about the instruments because they all are donated. A few times a year they have concerts to raise some money. So this part of Musician Village to the right, and we're going to go down this way to the left here. Maybe came on some small kids to the right. Playground there, instrument shape. For sure you will see the trombone. Now if you notice, all these houses are sitting up high above the ground. What's the reason for something like that? Flooding, that's right. We have flood zones, A, B, C, and some other alphabet. All depend what flood zone you are in, determine how much flood insurance you have to pay. You're going to see the next block, these other set of homes here, but not set up as high as these homes right here. So these guys in front of us might pay a little bit more flood insurance in the group here in this block. And you take a good look at these homes here. You got the bricks down below. They're called cinder blocks. They're just painted different colors, some of them. Before you get to the wooden part of the house, there's a little piece of tin. It's called a flash. You can really see it here over to the left there, right? Before you get to the wooden part of the house. See, we have a big problem with termites around here. I mean, a big problem. They swarm, especially if you have the lights on near your house there. They'll come into your house there, right? Eat outside of your wood there, chip at it. But here's the thing. After chipping up your wood, they got a little thirst come along. So I mean, you have to come on down, get some water, but when you try to climb back up, the piece of tin, they'll slide right off it. So maybe your wooden home will last a whole lot longer. See, because many, many years ago, most of these homes in the city of New Orleans was made of cedar and cypress wood. It will hold up and stand up to these different elements we have, like the temperature, heat, humidity, the moistness just as well. To the left is also part of the Musician Village. You might have some of them live over here to the right that came on much, much later. You can see this person home is decorated with different instruments here to the right of us. So he could be a musician. In the next block to the right, you're going to see this white house. There'll be a big old blue circle. Inside of the circle, you're going to see TFW, blue letters. To the right of the big circle, you will see NE, meaning not enter. So, maybe you haven't seen your neighbor, your friends, your relatives in 2-3 days or so. Well, the FEMA worker and other different worker came in this area here. Now what they did, you see NE to the right side of the circle, means not enter. They came in this area, 2-3 feet of water, if not more, got out of the boat, walked in the water, they broke a few window panes, they knocked on the wall, knocked on the windows, knocked on the doors. No one else at the bottom of that big blue circle, there's a 0. No one's left behind. To the left of the big circle, there's another 0, meaning no pests were left behind. Right above it, you see 9/12, which is September the 12th, right? Hurricane Katrina, 2005, August 29th. So 2 weeks later before they decided to come to search this particular home. 80% of the city of New Orleans had some problems. It was underwater, anywhere from 1-2 inches up to 15 feet of water. There's Claiborne Avenue here in front of us. Now Claiborne Avenue is the longest street in the city. It goes to the left now. About 80 miles down there, go to a couple of other little smaller towns. It'll take you all the way out to the Gulf of Mexico. That's where the Gulf of Mexico make that curve around the east side of the state of Louisiana. It travels on the state of Mississippi, Alabama, and the Florida area. 5th District Police Station to the left. Now they've been there for about 8 years. The old police station that was once there, it went underwater. Some of these vacant empty lots that you see around here, we once had houses, apartment houses, maybe a place of business sitting on top of it. Some of them were beyond repair, so had to come down. City in the state of Louisiana kind of stepped in, they purchased some of these vacant empty lots. Now just recently, if you live next door to the vacant empty lot, you got an opportunity to purchase that vacant lot for a nice little small reasonable price. You could not come from a different part of the city to purchase that lot. It was only available for the people that live next door to the vacant empty lots. This is North Claiborne Avenue, 5 miles straight ahead to turn into South Claiborne Avenue. Then it take you through a few of the little small towns. It'll take you out to the Louis Armstrong International Airport. And I did say Louis Armstrong International Airport. Well, when I booked my flight to come in, it was MSY. Yes, it was. Bars and Stockyard, right? But Mr. Louis Armstrong, he was once a native of the city of New Orleans. He was born right in this city, right along the Superdome. Some folks say, no, indeed, Louis Armstrong was born in New York City. Not true, folks. This is his hometown. Back during those days, segregation, discrimination was horrible, right? So he packed his bags and got out of here. He moved up to New York City, helped put us on the map. Today, segregation, demonstration, discrimination is still kind of crazy these days. Claiborne overpass, straight ahead in front of us. Get to the very top of it, look way out to the left, way out there. Get your nice little view of the tall building, city skyline, where it doesn't touch the sky, because the tallest building over is about 62 floors there. And if you continue to look out way to the left, you're going to see these two bridges. They call the Crescent City Connection Bridge. Down below it, the mighty Mississippi River with a crescent shape right near the downtown area. Franklin Avenue coming up, we'll get to the next traffic light. We'll be leaving the 9th Ward, heading into the 8th Ward. This particular part of the 8th Ward coming up is known as the St. Rock community. Most of us might spell rock, R-O-C-K. But back in 1830s, the German, this is one state community. Those guys spelled rock, R-O-C-H. And today it's still spelled the same way here in this community. This used to be a very, very close community here before Hurricane Katrina. See, these guys would have neighborhood meetings and parades. That doesn't happen anymore. Down the back streets and side street, we still have plenty of abandoned houses. We got some brand new neighbors that move into this community that never live in this area here. 1, 2, 3 streets here, down to the right 1 block. The Germans also had their own cemetery. St. Roch Cemetery number 1, St. Roch's other kind of disasters, right? Well, you have to live somewhere, and I'm sure you may have heard it before. There's no place like home. That's how most of us feel here in the city, and I'm one of them. So any and every time there's a hurricane near the city or the state, most of us will pack our bags and get out of here. And when it's all over, we'll come back to rebuild again. And I mean over and over and over again. Elysian Avenue here in front of us. Now, Elysian Avenue is one of the few streets that goes to the left, maybe about a mile to the Mississippi River. It goes to the right, 8.5 miles out to the Lake Pontchartrain. As soon as we cross this traffic light, we're going to be over the 7th Ward. Due to Hurricane Katrina, this part of the 7th Ward, it had about 2, maybe 3 feet of water inside of it. Back in the 1940s, up to about 1971, a mile or more straight ahead in front of us, they had plenty of African-American business in this area, but around 1970 they decided to build the interstate right here in the middle of this community with a very few on-ramps and very few exit ramps. It caused some of these businesses to go out of business, so these guys had to move to another part of the city to reopen their business and continue to take care of their family. This area here also once looked like St. Charles Avenue. We're going to be up there a little later on today. Next traffic light is Sampanout Avenue. When we cross it, we're going to be over the 6th Ward. Inside of the 6th Ward is known as the Treme area. T-R-E-M-E. Just like Treme. You got to wait for me on the sidewalk. We go in together. Give me some time to give you some information about the cemetery in our city. I'll give you some time to walk around and take some pictures also, right? We'll be here about 20 minutes. Here's the thing. When we leave here, we take the bathroom break. But if you got to go, you got to go. I can't go for you. In front to the left, there's a Shell gas station. So I need you guys to wait for me on the sidewalk. They're crooked now. And you won't have to do this, right? Yeah, you come on up. You won't have to do this here. You won't have to get back on the bus later on and say, Renee, what did you say? I'm not going to tell you. Come a little closer, all right? We're at the St. Louis Cemetery number 3. This cemetery opened up around the 1850s. Now, when it first opened up, it went that way about a block. What happened? More land became available, so they extended. This part of the Archdiocese is the Catholic group. Those guys never believed in farming or creation. Not until the 1960s came along, right? This is where we bury, high above the ground. Why?
Flooding.
Yeah, we're below sea level. Water came above the land. That means we don't want those bodies floating away, right? Yeah. Now, the very unusual thing happened here in this city, New Orleans. You with me, ma'am? Got other bus? You want to hear? You come on over. That's no problem. Just come a little closer out the driveway, right? Here's the thing. In our city, New Orleans, we bury one person at a time within 1 year and 1 day. What's that all about? You have to allow your body enough time to decompose yourself, to worms, snails, things to eat up. You just don't see that. Then 1 year later, you come on back.
You celebrate the anniversary of the death of the person. Now, the one day later, you prep it up, clean it up, get ready for the next body. But Uncle Charles passed in the month of June. Uncle Louis, he passed in the month of January. That's not 1 year and 1 day. What happened to the body? Where in the world does it go? It gets put on hold, or a temporary holding spot. Over that with the big tall one, you see those that numbers, 1, 3, 5, and some other different numbers. That is known as a society tomb. It's like a temporary holding spot. When the Croatians came to this part of the country, they buried that high above the ground, right? We took the idea and ran all with it, right? We did the same thing. You guys said the right thing. From the month of March until October, sometimes we just skip over spring. What's spring? Every couple of years, there's no spring here. So the temperature right now, you can feel it. It's about 88, 92, 94, 98 degrees. Now the humidity, when it kicks in, now you got 102. This is called a tomb, just like a crypt. The body get here, this become an oven. What about 450, 500 degrees? That body is baking and roasting, cremating itself on its own. Now, maybe your hometown falls up north, you try this, they're about high above the ground, and you can still sitting there frozen for a while, right? Some of you guys have what's called burial plot in the ground, huh? Yeah. So what happened after 1 year, 1 day later? The next body comes here, you join our part of the family. 1 year, 1 day later. But the other body that's sitting inside the oven already, guess what? It's baking and roasting in the oven. Now when the body comes out of there, which is skeletal remains, most of that, right? Here's the thing. They'll take those bones, they'll throw them up, put them in a bag, tie them up, move to refuge for life. And they fall in the rear, down in the tip to make room for the next body. See the big, tall, wide bodies we're in? It's just a bag of bones. That's all it is. That's how you end up putting these 20-something bodies inside of it. Kind of strange, though. Yeah. So when the next body come in, same thing, same cycle, into the oven, right? And just sit there. Here and a day later, guess what? Also, same thing happens. Kind of like a rotisserie, right? Rotating yourself over and over again. Some of these guys have no birthday. You walk around, some of them have no dead date. What's that's all about? Paying people migrate to our city, New Orleans, from different part of the country, different part of the world. Maybe they came without their birth certificate. 5,000 miles from home. They think that person will go check on birth certificate. Probably not. It was up to you to keep up with your birth certificate back then in those days, right? Some people kept it up in their Bible, their secret, or posted to the heart. You get back home anyway. You tried. You talk to that person 87 years old that you know, right? That you know. You said, Miss Johnson, how old are you? She said, this morning when I woke up, I knew I was 85. Today I'm 85. I know I'm 85. But something happened to me over the weekend. My kids gave me my 87th birthday. They didn't mix me up and confuse me again, right? So it was up to you to keep up with your birthday. And if you didn't, you had no idea how old you was. Some of you guys have different names, last name. What's that all about? You get married, you get a new name. Or maybe you grew up with a good friend, a good buddy, a good pal. Say, well, it's my girlfriend, my boyfriend, whatever you call it, right? Guess what? You say that person was your sister, your brother, none of that was true. But you was a good friend. That person happened to pass before you didn't know. But that person's family did not have enough money to get that person to probably work. So you come down there. That's another reason why you can't change. Now, in the front where we are, these tombs, just like a crypt, some of them 40, 60 pounds, some of them probably worth about 100 more. When you walk around, you see stone, marble, granite, and slate. Can you find in this part of the country? Probably not. That means you have to go out and purchase it, pay for it, pay to have it hold to come back in, pay for a spot, pay to have it installed. It always comes with open and closing and maintenance fee. So maybe down below here, 6, 7 on down here, some of these guys got buried for free inside of here, right? Because the family members took care of it, right? You guys ever seen a well fargo truck fall in the funeral? Can't take it with you. You spend it while you got it. And if you retire, you spend it all. Because hopefully we're raising our kids to do better than what we did growing up, right? Maybe that's the case sometime. But back in the later part of 1800s, right? Didn't matter your race, religion, sex, nationality, it didn't matter. Look right behind us. The alley, any one of them. That's known as a wall. It's called a wall vault. It's a temporary holding spot. That's where some unfortunate people just couldn't afford something like this in front. It was also used as a temporary holding spot. Some of them just stayed back there. So once again, it didn't matter what you had, who you were, later part of 1800s, we had the yellow epidemic fever, malaria, and all these other different diseases, right? And during those days, some people just passed like this. You had no idea what it was. You shook it a little bit, but it was giving us fine. But today, did for some of those guys, yeah, they cut a hole in the tomb, a wall broke on them, and then they would tie strings to the person, and on the outside, they'll attach it to a bell. So we had to put the bells. What about Uncle Lewis? He came to 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, right? Hannibal, the funeral moved, the bell would ring. Who was here to answer the bell? The graveyard shift. Partial high was invented, right? Yeah. Now the graveyard shift, every time they heard that bell, they would start poking and making fun. You know what they would say every time they heard that bell? You know, there's another dead ring over there. Let's run and say. You ever heard a dead ring before? That wasn't the crazy part. No. See, that day, 10 bells ringing here, 10 bells ringing over there, 5 bells ringing over there. And that particular morning, some of the employees decided not to come to work. So you know what that meant? For that day, you was working with a skeleton crew. So who do you run and save first? By the time you got the last group of people that's already dead, that's why I said buried alive. What about the other group of people? They got 10 times, and they pull those guys out of there. You know what they say to those guys? Come out of that, buddy, because you just got saved by the band. So crazy. Today we'll call something like that $8 traffic. But that's all those guys had to work with, and they worked with it, and it worked just fine for them, right? Croatian came with buried high above the ground, apartment style. We took that. French came along with the stone and the marble. They said it's on float. Bricks will float, eventually sink, right? Anybody Jews in the group? Jews never did like the way we bury high above the ground. But you come to our city, you got to follow the rules. And if you can't follow the rules, that's okay. You can go somewhere else, and you just float somewhere. Can you guys believe we have 42 cemeteries in this city? I don't mean the metropolitan area, in the city of New Orleans. Why so many of them? All the different diseases, you have to find somewhere for the body to go. What's going on today? Can't get control of this one either, huh? It was real bad and worse probably back then it is right now. Population wasn't as much as many people as they used. But people kept coming to the city of New Orleans and doing 1800s. This was known as the melting pot. One of the most wealthy cities in the world was right here. It's a different part of the world. Traveling up and down the mighty Mississippi River, because the Mississippi River is considered a prestige, like a piece of gold mine. You guys been on a cruise before? When you go on a cruise, you get a little pork feet in New Orleans, right? Good. That's why the Americans want to come in quickly to the city of New Orleans. Because the French and Spanish had control of the Mississippi River. So they were making so much money every time you came out of the Gulf of Mexico.
That scene took place when she got locked in the casket of the tomb, Ashley George. Now it's closed right now. I mentioned to you guys earlier why some of the cemeteries on the business are closed, right? Yep. Next time you come back to the left 1 block, you got this St. Charles Avenue street code. This is Washington Avenue.